Oh, I don't pay for suits. My suits are on the house, or the house burns down.
Welcome back to the Red Right Hand Podcast, the show that covers each and every episode of the BBC hit show The Peaky Blinders. I'm Josh.
And I'm Curtis.
And this week we are covering Season 1, Episode 2. So, what did you think of the episode?
It's pretty good. We're starting to get some more development on the characters, obviously. We're seeing more interactions, more violence, which, is always good for the show. So what'd you think?
It's good. It's definitely starting to build a little more. In the first episode, it just kind of lays down a little bit of a foundation for you. These are some of the main characters, and this is kind of what their business is about, the time frame, the situation they're in. But I think with this episode, it starts to get a little bit more in detail there, kind of show you maybe where we're headed, some of the stuff that's going to be blossoming throughout the rest of the show, but especially within this first season.
Right. First episodes are always hard. They're, like you said, they're trying to unpack everything in a timely manner and not overwhelm you or leave you confused and left wondering, okay, what's going on? So I think they definitely did a good job of that in the first episode. So can't wait to see what else happens, especially in this episode and beyond.
Yeah. And it definitely, there's a lot of shows that the first episode doesn't wind up being, it doesn't show anything for the rest of the season. Like the show changes so much after a pilot most of the time that it's almost not even the same kind of show.
Right.
Characters are completely different. But I feel like it does say a lot that, like, the pilot for this one was good enough that, like, that was the show.
Right. Yep.
All right. So we start the episode with all four of the Shelby boys driving in a car through the country. We find out they're going to meet a family of gypsies known as the Lees. We're introduced to a guy named Johnny Dogs, who's one of the gypsies who rides with the Lee family. And it seems like him and Tommy kind of have a previous history. We don't see him in the first episode, but it seems like he and Tommy know each other.
Right.
They play a game called Two Up, which it seems like it's just two coins. You both flip, and I'm not really sure. Do they both have to be heads up? Do they both have to be tails? Is it?
I don't really know. I tried looking it up online, tried to figure out what the deal was, but couldn't really find a whole lot about it. What little information there was, it just seems that you just kind of place a bet on, I guess, what would come up: two heads, a tail and a heads, two tails, whatever, and then you just kind of go from there. But yeah, not much is really made known about it, but it was made popular by poor English and Irish citizens back in the day. But yeah, not much really to tell about it. I guess it's just kind of one of those gambling games. You just kind of, hey man, here's some coins. Let's gamble on that, or whatever.
It's weird because I guess maybe the American thing is just one coin, like flipping a coin.
Right? Yeah, heads or tails.
Yeah, but it is odd that they do two for some reason.
More of a challenge, I guess. I mean, now you got to think about, okay, well, I got to pick two coins.
Yeah.
What about three coins?
That's true. The odds change a little bit. But they make this bet, seemingly to see if Johnny Dogs will get their car. Basically, the Lees bet a horse on the outcome of this,
right,
and the Shelbys bet the family car.
Well, and then the key thing is only Tommy knew about it. He was the only one that betted on it. Arthur, John, none of the other Shelbys knew about it because once they flipped, I'm not trying to get ahead of you here, but once they flipped and they figured it out, Arthur got pretty pissed about it because he was like, you're not going to give up the family car, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, so once again, Tommy kind of going out on his own, doing his own thing and not telling the family about it.
Yeah, always kind of keeping everybody in the dark as to what his plans are.
Right.
But they make this bet, horse against the car. And some of the Lee men began to laugh at Arthur because he thinks that Tommy just lost the car in a bet. Tommy asks, "Are you laughing at my brother?" And Johnny Dogs attempts to cool tempers by saying that the Shelby's grandfather was a king, basically trying to say that they're good people,
Right.
Kind of, they're royalty, I guess, but just kind of diffuse the situation. And one of the Lehman says that their mother was a diddy coy whore, which I'm also not really sure what that means, but it's got whore tacked onto the end of it,
Yeah,
so
they can't be good.
probably not good.
Who knows what the hell Diddy Coy is?
Yeah. But as a fight ensues between the Shelbys and the Lees, more Jack White in there.
Yeah.
Blue Veins by the Raconteurs plays as the Blinders beat the Lees.
He's just like perfect for this show.
Yeah,
Play
well,
music
it's very bluesy,
Right.
and you can see working at a factory.
Right, yeah.
You know,
you hear that in the
To
background.
that music, yeah. So we move on from there to Inspector Campbell. We're back with him. He's lining up police in the street of a neighborhood. It looks like they're about to just do a raid. It's early in the morning, and he says the line, "Before last night's beer turns to piss and wakes the devils up," that they're going to find these guns that they've been looking for. While they're looking for those stolen guns, they drag people out into the street. They beat them. During the raid, someone gets a message to Freddie Thorne that the police are out rounding up communists. Again, Detective Campbell's thing is he's going after the IRA, he's going after the communists, and the gangs also, the Peaky Blinders. All kind of in pursuit of those guns. They're all people who could use the guns to...
Right, they're all kind of clumped into one of, okay, who's got the guns? I'm just going to look through all of these different people, like you were saying, the IRA, the gangs around that area, and then even the communists.
Yeah. And they're really just, they're the people who could cause him the most trouble
Right,
by
exactly.
having them.
Yes, yeah.
So I think Tommy mentions at one point, and he says, and we could undo all your good work in Belfast,
Yes.
like by getting those guns to the IRA.
Yeah.
So,
Shows you how much hand he's going to have in the end, but we won't get to that just yet.
yeah. Looking for the stolen guns. They're digging through people's houses. So Freddie Thorne, he and Ada flee from his apartment. He takes her to a friend's house, probably a fellow communist, who will hide her until the police have gone. And then he gets out of town. Freddie's got to go on the lam for a little bit.
Of course, she's pretty reluctant to take Ada in because she's a Shelby, and they're all scared of the Shelby family again.
Yeah. Campbell approaches Aunt Polly in the church. This is kind of still going on during the raid. Polly's in the church, and she mentions that Campbell didn't serve in World War I. I think they said that in the last episode, too.
I believe so, if I remember correctly.
And they mentioned that he wasn't there. And that's kind of like, especially at this time, like these great wars, it's like really looked down on if you weren't somebody who served,
Right. It was, yeah. Like you said, if you're a man left at home during the World War I or World War II, you were kind of looked down upon. It was a civil duty back then to, drop everything you were doing, your life, your family, everything like that to go serve your country. Whereas like now, people are joining out of free will. Not to say that they were forced back then, but it was an honorable thing to do basically, and every man was up for the task when the call came about.
Yeah.
Except for some, apparently.
Yeah. The Inspector Campbells of the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and we see it come up too that he gets all this disrespect for not having served, and then somebody like Tommy, who's done a bunch of terrible things, who's a criminal, still has a good amount of respect from these higher up people because he was a war hero.
Right. It just kind of goes to show you what they thought of, people who were serving the war compared to people who kind of ditched it and stayed at home doing their own thing or whatever.
Yeah. The police tear apart the church, looking for the guns. When he leaves, he says he wants a meeting with the real boss, and he says that's Tommy. In the last episode, he had met with Arthur and kind of discerned there that Arthur was not the boss of the family.
More of a one-sided meeting than anything.
Yeah, a beating, really, was just what it was. So after the raid, this whole time the boys have all been at the fair. I think it's probably the gypsies put that on, right? I mean, I noticed their camp was like right outside of the fair.
I mean, yeah, I would guess so. And gypsies usually, at least back then, weren't they kind of
Circus and
yeah,
fair
circus,
folk.
yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I think so. I mean, you at least see that stereotype. I don't know how
Right.
true
Well, at least
that is.
along the way they had stopped, with the gypsies and at least did their thing there. But yeah.
Yeah. The boys return to find that the neighborhood is torn apart. And Polly says that Campbell spread word that Arthur complied with the police in the raids. And it looked like the boys went to the fair to let the raid happen and just kind of not be present there. Just a good excuse, you know. And I think Campbell just kind of weaved that to turn the people against them a little bit. So Polly wants them to go out. They're going to pay veterans to fix up some of the pubs and kind of get things moved again. She wants people to see them out there, kind of a show of force, that they're not hiding. Campbell kind of weaves that web a little more by hitting all the pubs in the area except for the one that the Blinders own. They're all supposed to be under their protection.
Right.
But that one that they specifically, the one that is
The one that they
their
circulate,
pub,
me, yeah.
That's the one that did not get hit. Polly wants him back out on the street, showing some face. Polly tells Tommy that Campbell won't rest until he finds the guns. We have a lot of these side Polly and Tommy conversations because it's like, as she tells him later, I ran this business for, 4 or 5 years or whatever, while they were gone.
Right, while the men were at war.
Yeah. So those are kind of the two heads of the family, like I feel like, especially the first time I watched the show through, I didn't realize how like pivotal Polly was,
Right,
and like
yeah.
how much Tommy did listen to her, and stuff like that, like took her advice and everything.
I think she's definitely the glue that kind of holds the family together for sure. I mean, she may not be the top dog like Tommy is, but she's definitely the glue that holds them all together.
Yeah.
For sure.
Tommy asks about Ada. Where was she during the raid? And Aunt Polly says that she was sleeping. But Tommy asks, where was she sleeping? I think...
In a bed?
Yeah, I think Tommy acts kind of shocked about it later about, or mad about her being with Freddie. But I think in the back of his head, he kind of knows.
He already knew. I mean, the dude seems to know everything that's going on.
He's
So
got
you would
people
think
everywhere.
somebody would have told him already, some informant or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But she tells Tommy that Campbell knows that he's the real boss of the family, not Arthur, and he wants a meeting. Tommy says that he won't do it. They're going to strike back first. He says you don't parlay when you're on the back foot. So he's got something cooking there. We don't know what yet, but he's thinking something.
It's not going to be anything softer. I mean, it's going to be something he's going to come back at him for sure, man. He's going for the KO.
Yeah. This next section is the king and the baby. Once again, more White Stripes. Hardest Button to Button by the White Stripes plays as the Blinders go door to door, paying people for their pictures of the king. Side note, I think that is like my top 3 White Stripes songs.
Is it really?
Hardest Button to Button. definitely, I think it might be my favorite music video from them because it's just so good. Like,
I'm trying to remember what it was.
it's just it's cuts on like
Oh,
every
yeah.
kick, and they're just like traveling
Yeah.
through town, basically like
Right.
playing. So the blinders go door to door. They pay people for their pictures of the king. I looked up. I tried to look up some of this stuff about why everybody had a picture of their king, and if it was required to have a picture of the king in your home, and or if that was just something that people did. There is like nothing. I looked really hard for this, and there was nothing that I found that said that you were required to keep a picture of the king in your home, or that
It comes with the home when you buy it.
it's weird.
And it's one of those things where it's like you can't pry it off the wall.
I feel like I'd heard that before, that like
It wouldn't
during a
surprise
certain
me.
period, like
Yeah.
every citizen was required to have a picture of the king in their home.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
It wouldn't surprise me.
So in Watery Lane, people gather to burn their pictures of the king. Basically, they're just having a party in the street, like, and a big bonfire.
Yeah, that's a big old bonfire.
I wrote down that Finn was drinking.
I guess I didn't see that far,
Yeah,
man.
he took a cup from John or somebody and
Nice.
was drinking that. So a car pulls up. It's a reporter for the Birmingham Evening Dispatch, and he comes at Tommy's request to write a story for the paper. So basically, Tommy calls this guy down so that he can tell him why they're doing this, or at least why he wants everybody to think they're doing this.
Right.
But he's just trying to garner some attention from the Home Office, from Churchill.
Well, he comes back with the phrase, he's raising the alarm.
Yes.
I'm putting out a flag here, man. Hey, look, this is going on here. We're not going to take it.
Yeah. They say we don't want our beloved king looking down on us and seeing what's being done to us.
Right.
So that's
Well,
why they're
and
burning
talking
the
about
fires.
where they're at, Smallheath, I mean, you're talking about a bunch of veterans that are now being harassed by the police, and they fought in your war. We died for you, and we're coming back to this. You got to do something about it. If you're our king, you got to do something about it now.
Yeah. That's exactly the kind of stuff that Freddie Thorne was saying in the factory with a lot of those guys, like, what's your reward
Right.
for fighting in this war? Like, half wages,
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So, but Tommy's kind of telling him what he wants this guy to write. Tommy adds credit to his story and kind of their cause by mentioning that he won medals at the Battle of the Somme. I did look up a little bit of stuff about the Somme. You hear about the Somme a lot.
Right. It was a big war.
Yeah.
Or big battle in World War One. For
Yeah.
sure.
It's the Somme River in France, right?
Right. Yeah. It was actually the first battle ever to have tanks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, for the first time. Yeah. So I mean, I think we talked about this in the first episode. Different, weapons of warfare coming out in World War One. Like flamethrowers, gas, different stuff like that. But I mean, like, think about going into a battle and for the first time seeing this huge like vehicle coming down on you. You're like, what the heck is that? And all of a sudden, it's shooting like bombs basically at you, and you're like, what the heck? Or running you over and squishing you or whatever, man. I mean, that's the scary thing, you know?
Yeah. That would be nuts to be there for those like revolutions in warfare where you're like, oh, okay, all I got to worry about is that other guy with the gun.
Right, yeah.
And now the tank that's going to kill like 20 guys all around me,
Right.
at the same time.
And I can't shoot at it.
Yeah.
I mean, what's I going to do? I got to get on top of it and like kill the people inside of it,
So Campbell receives a call at midnight from Churchill about the fires. And he's angry that the guns haven't been found yet. He just immediately starts asking about the guns. So he talks to Campbell for a minute, just kind of asking about progress on the guns. He says that he read a story. He says that all the stories that mention the king are referred to the home office first,
Right.
so that they can go through and make sure it's nothing that like would embarrass the king
Defaming or anything.
yeah. Some pretty heavy censorship there.
Right.
And so they talk about that for a little bit, and then at the end of the call, he mentions that Tommy was a war hero. He says that the article mentions that he was a war hero. And I feel like that's kind of the first. I feel like before that, Churchill hasn't really looked into him.
Right.
You
yeah,
know,
that's definitely
like-
the first time.
Yeah, like he knows who Campbell's working with, and he knows some of these names and stuff like that, but I don't think he's like read the guy's file, you know?
Right.
And so that's the first time he kind of hears about that, and obviously later on that's a huge piece
Right.
because, you know, Churchill has the ability to get a lot of stuff done for him, you know?
Right.
So,
Yeah. I actually read something kind of blew my mind the other day that I guess during this period kind of Churchill actually was affiliated with socialist. He was in the Socialist Party, and I didn't realize that.
yeah, he was. They get into that a little bit in season 2, but once he started delving into like Bohemian culture and
Right,
stuff,
yeah.
like Churchill was a really like experimental,
Right.
like artsy kind of guy. Like once he started getting into all that stuff, like
Now, he ended up getting away from that party, apparently, and I guess I don't remember the name of the party, but I mean conservative, I guess, in the end. But like when World War II came back around or something, I guess. Did you ever hear that?
okay, no,
I have to look it up again, but the part that just shocked me because I didn't know was he was part of Socialist Party, which was interesting for sure. Just never really thought about it. I'm not English, so
right, yeah, no. I feel like that's the only block of like Churchill knowledge I have is like around World War One,
Right.
And then after that, he just
It's kind of faded out.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It was kind of weird. I mean,
So we go over to Ada and Polly. They're talking in the kitchen in the morning at Polly's house. Polly notices that Ada is attacking a piece of toast with some jelly. She notices that she kind of looks different, and she realizes that Ada's pregnant. So they go see a nurse for confirmation. It's kind of it's a backdoor business.
right, yeah,
Because when they leave, she says, "Keep walking, like we don't want anybody to see us."
right,
She tells Polly that it's Freddie's child, but Polly wants her to have an abortion. But Ada doesn't want to. She wants to keep the baby. Tommy goes to pick up his new horse he won from Johnny Dogs, and it's being kept at Uncle Charlie's yard. He gives Tommy a message from the Lee family, and it is a bullet with his name engraved in it. It's like a gypsy declaration of war. But Uncle Charlie says, is it Tommy Shelby against the whole world? Everybody's really worried about Tommy kind of starting up problems with the Lee family. I mean, just from what we can gather on the show, there's a lot of them, and they're kind of crazy, you know, so.
Gypsies, man, they multiply quickly. They're everywhere.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
Definitely think that's kind of a cool way to declare a war, though. Put a bullet, somebody's name on a bullet. That's kind of cool.
It is, yeah, it's original, and it's pretty intimidating. Like,
Right,
yeah,
yeah.
if you get left a bullet that has your name on it, you know.
Yeah,
And their thing that they say later is that it can't, like, once you write the bullet,
it can't be undone.
Yeah, it can't be undone. Like, you have to do it.
Right.
You know? So, yeah, it's ominous for sure. We see Tommy riding the horse down the street, but he gets really spooked from all the noise and the fires from the factories. He tries to calm the horse, and And he says that in the war, we used to say that it's just the band turning up, you know? Just the music getting loud. It's all just music, you know?
Yeah.
So he talks to the horse for a minute. And we can kind of see that Grace is watching him just from down the street at the garrison. She can see him trying to calm the horse down. I think it's her kind of seeing, like, a different side of him.
A softer side.
Yeah, you know. I think the last time they talked, he asked if she was a whore.
Yeah, I think that was the last time. Which was a great pickup line, man.
Yeah, it killed.
Like, really?
But Grace is watching him, and Tommy gets the horse calmed down, and they start to walk past the garrison. She stops him as he passes. That was the...
Well, she throws that, like, slop bucket out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, okay, like you said, I'm watching you I'm watching you come down the street. Man, she knew he was coming. She waited till the last second, threw it right out in front of him. Oh,
Yeah.
My bad. I didn't see you there.
Yeah. But she asked Tommy about the horse. She asked if he's got a name. And he invites her to go to him with the race, or to go with him to the races.
Did he say what the name was? I don't even remember.
I don't think he gave this one a
has
name.
maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, because she said, she said they all need names.
Right, yeah.
So when he asked her to go to the races, if I remember right, I'm pretty sure he gives her some money for a dress, I think.
Does he?
I think that's right because, yeah, I'm pretty sure.
She's gonna get a new dress. I don't know.
So Tommy goes from there over to their little bookie gambling parlor that's in the back
Living
of
space.
a house. Yeah, that connects to another house that is a real house. Like, I don't know what's going on there. But he enters their establishment. John tells him that all the men there have come to bet on their horse Monahan Boy. And that was the horse in the last episode that they...
Yeah, I think I'm thinking of that one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, having the name, yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, that was the horse from the last episode that they had done the powder trick with and were trying to get everybody to bet on.
Right.
So he doesn't get much further than that. Polly whispers in Tommy's ear, and we know after that it's about Ada. And he immediately leaves to go find her. He finds her at the movie theater, and he comes in and sits down next to her, and he asks about the father.
He's not there for the movie, that's for sure.
Yeah, he says, "Who is it?" She says it's Rudolph Valentino. And Rudolph Valentino was just a actor. I can't remember where he was from. He only did like a few years of those movies because he only lived to be like 30 or something.
Yeah, he died pretty quick, man.
But yeah, she's just being snarky.
Right. This is where, going back to episode 1, I had messed this part up because there was another silent film actor that she was talking about. I don't even remember what his name now is. Is it Richard Dix or something? Anyway, I got mixed up.
I think it was Tom Mix.
Tom Mix, that's it.
Yeah.
Tom Mix.
No, Tom Mix.
Tom
That's right.
Mix,
That's right.
Yeah. We'll figure it out,
Yeah.
man.
She said, I've got tickets for the Penny Crush, and it's a Tom Mix film.
Yeah, there you go. Well, anyway, I got those two messed up. So this is where I was skipping ahead to episode 2, but this is the part that I was thinking about because I said going to see a Tom Mix picture, but now she went to go see a Rudolph Valentino picture in this episode. So yeah, clear in the air, man. Trying to take care of some business here.
Tommy turns the movie off, and he kicks everybody out of the theater. He finally gets her to admit that the father's Freddie Thorne. She says, "Your best mate since school." When Tommy storms out of there, she kind of implies that he might go kill Freddie. You know,
Well, she said something about
she says
to go on and
she said
least she actually
cut him
said
up
kill,
and
but-
chuck him in the cut.
there you go.
And they always call like their little riverways and stuff the cut.
Right.
And And then she yells out to the guy running the projector, "I'm a Shelby too. Put my fucking film back on." Monahan Boy loses his third race, and the Blinders win big because that was kind of their plan all along. Like he told Arthur in the last episode, the horse will win this time, and it will win next time. And then when we're ready, he will not win.
Right.
And we will bet the opposite way, you know?
This is a great scene, too, because it just opens up with him sitting at that long betting table all by himself and just stacks of cash all around. But, like, at the same time, he doesn't look satisfied. Of course, he's always wheels are always churning. He's always thinking of his next 3 or 4 steps, but then at the same time I think the whole Ada thing is probably in the back of his mind too.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just kind of a weird scene to see him just kind of all hunched over, all that money just spread out on the table.
Yeah, they did pretty well. I mean, it's definitely like probably the most money they've ever had at one time, I would imagine.
Yeah, for sure.
So Polly comes in. She's angry with Tommy for fixing the races without permission of Billy Kember. She says you forgot the first rule of fighting. You don't punch above your weight, and you strike when your enemy is weak. I guess she says the don't punch above your weight. And Tommy says, but he's like, I learned in France that you strike when your enemy is weak. Ada sent a letter with Polly to give to Tommy, for him to give to Freddie. But he burns it. He thinks that Freddie only wants Ada for the things she has access to. And it's funny because watching the show with someone who had never watched it before, they thought that was a lot of Freddie's intention, was that he was not interested in Ada and that he was only interested in the things that, basically Tommy and the Blinders could provide them access to.
Right. I mean, it makes sense, right? I mean, coming from a fresh mind of I've never seen the show and you're just kind of seeing that, you're like, yeah, I can see where this dude's just trying to marry into the family so you can have access to all that stuff and build up his own war, his own communist war or whatever, against the government. And so I get Tommy's fears of that and not wanting to put Ada through that either and have her just be kind of just an object to be used.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's, you don't know a whole lot about Freddie like thus far.
No, for sure not. I mean, we just basically know he's a communist and he fought in the war with Tommy, and I mean they were best mates back in school. He was messing around with Ada, and that's really about it. I mean, other than that, we don't. Yeah, you're right. We don't really know a whole lot about him. Personal intentions and everything like that with relationships.
Yeah. Tommy doesn't want Ada to have the baby.
What?
kind of for all those reasons. And I think that's kind of where Polly is too.
You think he wants? The other thing too is like you don't think he wants another Freddie Thorne in the world.
Yeah.
Another communist. I don't know, something. That's because I always kind of wondered, like, well, what do you really care if? I mean, I guess the other thing too is like, because Freddie's on the run right now because he left Ada with that woman that he knew, so he's on the run right now trying to get away from Inspector Campbell and all the police and everything until it kind of cools down, but. So I'm guessing that Tommy at the same time is probably thinking he's not coming back, and Polly's probably thinking the same thing of, trying to get her to do the abortion of he's not coming back. He's left you with this child, and now you're gonna have to bear that weight. Because especially back then, man, I mean, single mother. I mean, you're wearing the scarlet letter, scarlet A or whatever.
Yeah, and Polly knows because she went through that.
Right. Exactly.
Like, she had the 2 kids
right.
And she was alone, so she kind of knows, and I think they're all just trying to look out for her, but, only Ada knows what's really going on between her and Freddie.
For sure, yeah.
Only she knows that, like, kind of what they have.
Which, once again, kind of going back to what I said, I mean, I think that proves even more that she is the centerpiece of this family, even though Tommy is slowly becoming the leader. She's definitely the glue that's holding the whole family together. And without her, man, I mean, you're just, 4 or 5 individuals that have the same last name, but you're really kind of, on different sides of the room. I don't know.
That's true because she definitely brings the rest of the family together multiple times over the seasons,
Right.
Like she is that constant kind of...
And she's kind of the mother figure too, because I mean she's older than them. Of course, the aunt being the aunt too. I mean she is definitely playing the mother role. I think over all of them.
Is Ada supposed to be... Are you talking about Polly?
No, Polly. That's what I'm talking about. Did I say Ada?
No, I was thinking we were talking about her being older. I was thinking we were talking about Ada, but...
No, I'm talking about Polly.
Okay, well,
I think Ada does come... I think Ada kind of follows in her shoes later on,
yeah, that's
too.
what I was going to say, because later on...
they're pretty... Like you said, they're pretty close anyway.
Yeah.
But I think definitely later on, Ada's kind of following her shoes in that...
And she treats her more of like a daughter.
Right, exactly, yeah.
But yeah, I think that's so interesting because I think you could have the exact same conversation. Like you could say that exact same thing about both Polly and Ada. Because, Polly brings them all together over the course of the show several times, but also Ada does because they all kind of bond over her. She's our sister. We got to keep her close. We trust her. She's really smart, especially down the line.
Right. Well, especially I think having the baby, I think is gonna kind of want them to, keep her there and protect her too, and everything like that. Yeah. And I think it kind of helps her to grow up pretty quick because she is the second youngest, Finn being the youngest. But yeah, I think it definitely helps her grow up and mature pretty quickly and, like you said, take over that spot that Polly's kind of at right now of kind of a parental kind of guidance person.
Yeah. But at that point, they're all still trying to convince her that having the baby is not going to be the best thing.
Right.
And Polly tells her that she doesn't believe Freddie will come back to the city, like you were saying.
Right.
That next section is called Afternoon Tea. And so Tommy goes and meets with Inspector Campbell in a tea room. That's some hoity-toity stuff right there. It just kind of seems like it looks like a place where two upstanding guys go to meet and have some tea and whatever else. I don't know. It's kind of a weird...
Well, and like Campbell said, he wanted to meet there because it's out of his jurisdiction and it's out of Tommy's jurisdiction. It's kind of an interesting spot, though, still. Like you said, I mean, here comes these two guys, and they're just kind of... I mean, because everybody else is
these
pretty
two
chill,
murderers.
Yeah, we had
they're...
two murderers just standing there talking, having tea and crumpets or whatever.
Yeah. They talk a little bit about the guns. We talk about Freddie. And Tommy mentions his conditions for the return of the guns. He says that he'll get them back to Campbell, but these are the things that are going to need to happen in order for him to do that. He wants no police involvement with his men at the racetracks and gambling licenses for all of them. If Tommy's taken into custody at any time, the guns will be shipped directly to Belfast, and that basically just means that they're going right into the hands of the IRA.
And undoing everything that Campbell had just finished doing in Ireland.
Yeah. So he's kind of got him against the ropes there.
And Campbell knows it, man. You can tell his expression goes from kind of almost like evil, cynical at the beginning to, oh, God.
Yeah.
Great. Now I have to kind of play by his rules.
Yeah. So Tommy's definitely got him kind of backed into a corner there. And Campbell begrudgingly agrees. But they're not going to shake hands on this, both for different reasons. Campbell doesn't want to shake Tommy's hand because he's a criminal.
Right.
And Tommy doesn't want to shake Campbell's hand because he didn't serve in the war.
Which I love that. He's like, why would I shake hands with a man who didn't serve his country,
Yeah. And then Tommy drops the mic and walks out.
So that's a great, slap in the face, man.
Yeah. So after that, Campbell goes to meet with Grace. They're in the balcony of an opera house. He tells her that Tommy is her only mission now. As Campbell kind of explains the situation with Tommy, what she's going to be doing, we get some kind of pans back and forth from the opera house to Tommy's Tommy's house or
his room,
his place, yeah.
Sleeping quarters.
And he's smoking opium. It's probably only like the second time I think we see him doing
we've
it.
Seen it, yeah.
To kind of to be able to get to sleep, to not hear
night terrors, yeah.
not hear people trying to dig through the walls.
Which goes back to him being a tunneler in the war.
Yeah.
Just kind of reference there.
He tells Grace that she has to get close to Tommy, and he gives her a gun for her to carry. I put down 38. Looked like a 38 to me.
Yeah, I would agree.
He says, "You are now active in a military operation on behalf of the Crown." He says, "Grace, my heart is with you."
Of course it is.
You like now
Come on,
it
bro.
starts to
It's getting a little weird now.
Yeah, was in the last episode where he met up with her at the
Was it the art museum or whatever?
Yeah.
But he didn't really show a whole lot of like emotional. I mean, you know, he talked about
he's just
being
creepy.
with her father and telling him that he would basically look over her.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you start kind of seeing a little bit of connection, but then this one is like, because then he's like holding her hand, and because she was trying to get up, she was going to get up and walk out, but then like he grabs her arm and, telling her, my heart's with you, blah, blah, blah. And then when she finally leaves, it's kind of a shot of her hand slowly slipping out of his, and he's kind of,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy, man.
Yeah, that's where it starts to get weird. And then in this scene also where he's saying, my heart's with you, like,
I mean, just come out and say, man, I love you.
Yeah.
Please don't leave me.
It's so cringy. But he says, "You're now active in a military operation on behalf of the Crown." So I put down, I didn't know what opera this was. I didn't recognize it. It's not...
I'm not an opera fan, so I have no clue.
I feel like a lot of times they show you one that like everybody knows, like Pavarotti or something like that,
Yeah.
But I noticed that it can't be Pavarotti because in this one the wife killed the husband, not the husband killed the wife. So I didn't really look into it too much, but
I did like the kind of cut back and forth between their conversation and the actual action of the play, because it kind of showed, like when they're kind of getting tense or whatever in their conversation, it kind of shows some tension in the actual opera play too sometimes.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty good storytelling for sure.
At the very least, like the orchestra, like all that's just way more. It makes the scene way more dramatic.
Right.
So,
right. Yep.
So we go back to Tommy. He wakes up and he's staring at the wall. Curly runs through the rain and knocks on Tommy's door. And they both run through the rain, the torrential downpour.
Man. He is like beating that
Yeah,
door down.
that's true. That's true.
It's not like a hello.
Yeah. He gave it a cop knock. So him and Tommy run through the rain to Charlie's yard. When they get there, Tommy's horse is kind of bandaged up on. It has like one of its legs kind of taped up.
Yeah,
like,
it's all standing up too. I think. I don't think he's even standing on it.
Curly says that the Lees they cursed a seed and put it in his hoof. It seems like Uncle Charlie believes that too. He says black blood gypsies. And Tommy tells him to leave, and he decides to shoot the horse.
Now, is that the horse that he got from the Lees, though?
Yes.
Okay, because I think at one point I was kind of confused of thinking that was Monahan Boy.
No, I can't remember what color Monahan Boy is, if he's like brown or black, but...
I thought this horse was black. Are you sure it wasn't Monahan Boy?
No, the one they got from the Lees is white.
Okay.
Yeah, like it is white.
Which, I mean, I guess, like, if it was Monahan Boy, they'd have to sneak in and, yeah, anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, they say that they cursed the seed, and that's why his like, I don't know if his leg is like broken or something's wrong with his
I
leg.
think he's got like, I don't know. I didn't think it was broken, but maybe it is.
Who knows? They're like super superstitious, and they think that whatever it is in his hoof is going to spread to his heart.
Right.
by
That's why I was kind of
morning.
thinking it was like some like virus or something, almost like gangrene or something, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
But I don't know.
It could. I mean, it could have been something legitimate that they were just mystified by. You
Right,
know,
yeah.
like
Oh, God.
like it could have been gangrene, and they were, Curly
It's a
just saying
curse,
it's
man.
a bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Tommy kills the horse. He walks down the street, and is kind of shaken up by the sounds of the fires in the factories, just like the horse was before. And I think he's just in his head. It's the horse, it's the death, it's the fact that he can't shake the war, it's everything.
Right.
So he goes into the garrison and he tells Grace what happened. He says, in the war, I got used to seeing men die. But he said, I never got used to seeing horses die. That horses die badly. Grace tells him that she bought a dress for the races. And he says that he wants it to impress King Billy Kimber and all his men, because they're going to be at the races also. I think that's probably Tommy's only reason for going, is to just kind of make that.
He's not there for the betting. I don't think.
Just make that connection with Billy Kimber.
He's not there for the big fancy hats and whatever they have now.
Yeah. Grace takes advantage of kind of the moment between them to ask again if singing can be allowed back in the garrison, just one night a week. She says something about how it used to brighten the
Cheer up the boys
yeah,
back in Belfast or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah, and he says that she never lived in Belfast.
She never worked there.
Yeah, that they looked into her, and she had never been there, but he thinks that she was kind of in the same situation as Ada, had gotten pregnant, the guy wasn't there, and that she had just run.
Changed her name or whatever, yeah.
Yeah. So she asked to sing for Tommy, and she says, a happy song or a sad one? And, of course, Tommy wants a sad song. So she sings the Black Velvet Band, which is actually a really good song. I've heard like a few different versions of that, like once I started looking it up.
Right.
And there's like, it's pretty good. Because there's most of the songs that they sing in the pub are really good. There's some good ones. The one at the end of this episode is shit. But most of them are really good.
What they sing at the end.
It's "Come Josephine in My Flying Machine." It's the most anticlimactic song for what's about to happen.
That's kind of a weird, that's kind of a weird song.
Yeah, there's so many good songs that get sang in the pub in the garrison, and then but she sings Black Velvet Band.
Which I'm all for the songs, but again, I don't know. I just can't.
Do you not like her voice?
I just don't like her voice.
Oh my god.
Here's the other thing too, is like, I mean, I could probably like it if she had a band going with her, but like, especially in this scene, it's just her, and I'm just like, I don't know.
Oh man.
Tommy seemed to like it, but I didn't like it.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's good.
Just my personal preference, though, man.
And I can't remember what Black Velvet Band is about. Like, I remember the words, but I want to say...
I don't even remember.
She says that... It says that, like, her love was taken away by the Black Velvet Band. I don't know if it's a song just, like, about death or if it's, like, some IRA stuff. But...
So I can only think of the one where when she tried out, because she's walking around, like, filling the buckets and different stuff like that, and she's singing a different song to... whatever his name is, the bar owner, or the bartender, not the owner.
Yeah, Harry, I think.
It was a Harry. I can't remember this one because he got her to stand up on that chair to sing it, but I can't remember any of the words or anything to it right off the top of my head.
Yeah. So after that, we go over to a train station. where Ada and Polly are about to get on a train. Polly's kind of convinced her to go ahead and have the abortion. She says that they're going to go... I can't remember where they're going to have it done, but after that, she says they're going to go see, like, some castle ruins and stuff that were, like, on the way. I think kind of just...
she said something like... Oh, something
she says, like, as a treat or something
yeah,
like that.
Something as a treat, which
like,
is
man,
like,
you
oh.
are really... Yeah.
It's kind of weird, man.
Yeah. Yeah, a little awkward.
Something I think they kind of showed Ada's age, but because I don't... She say an actual treat because I thought she said something about candy or something.
I don't know. I think
something
she
that
said...
was really, like, awkward.
I think
like,
it was, like, as a treat. I think she said, we're
Okay.
going to go stop off and see those as a treat.
Okay. Maybe it was the way she said it, which is kind of... I don't
It was weird.
It was just weird, man.
Yeah, it's weird.
Of course, I don't know how old do you think Ada is, but I think we talked about this in the last episode. I think 14 or 15.
If I had to guess, yeah, maybe, like... Well...
Or younger? Sure.
I was going to say
younger,
maybe
man.
just a little older. I was going to
okay,
say
a little
maybe
older.
like 16, 17.
I was thinking 14, 15 probably.
No, I don't think so.
We'll
I
have
mean,
to
think
look it
about
up.
how old Freddie is. And I know, like, yeah,
Dude,
bro, but
stuff
it's
like
not
that was not uncommon back then, though.
in like the 40s? Or no, I know.
That's not the 40s. We're talking about the teens here, bro.
I don't know why I was thinking World War II. Yeah, I don't know. I would see.
I mean, people got married when like they were 11 and 12 years old sometimes.
Yeah, I don't know.
I know it's weird to talk about. That's the thing about it. It just kind of feels weird to talk about, right?
Yeah,
But I'm thinking that's what it is, man.
I don't know.
I don't know if maybe I just saw that somewhere or what.
Yeah. Okay, so okay. What year were we in? Whenever
1919 was when the show started.
Okay, so it's
It was
1919.
right after the war ended.
Okay, so no, she's supposed to be like at least 20.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because it has her
Thank
down
God.
as being born in 97.
Okay.
So
97 or 87?
97.
Oh, 18. Okay.
No, I mean 1897. It's 1897.
Oh, okay. Good. Because I was confused for a second. But only for a second.
So
We're at the train station.
oh yeah, okay, so we're at the train station. Freddie catches him. Tommy sent the letter. They don't want to leave the city. So they're gonna stay. They're not gonna run like Tommy told them to.
And he proposes to her.
Yeah, and he proposes. So they're gonna get married.
Of course, she's like, let's go. We can go anywhere we want. Blah, blah, blah. And that's when he was like, no, I'm not
Yeah.
afraid, Tommy.
Yeah, and
I got business here.
I think too that's when I start like respecting Freddie a little bit more. Like I never got weird vibes from him watching the show. I always felt like
no.
he's a little weird and a little quirky and
He's got a strange haircut, but...
yeah, and that fedora is minus 10 points.
Yeah.
But I never got like vibes of ill intent or anything.
Right.
And then in that moment, I almost more, rather than him just being like, oh, well, I'll show Tommy, like, we're not going anywhere, I almost felt like he's staying to work his cause.
So it's
you
for
know,
his
like-
cause. It's just the part that he's talking about with Tommy is being with Ada. It's like, I don't care, man. It's like he loves Ada,
Yeah.
and he's not going to let Tommy get in the way. He's not afraid of Tommy.
Yeah.
Of course, going way back and being best friends with them and saving his life in the war, kind of helps out too. It's like, yeah, he's not going to do anything to me, man.
Yeah. So the next section is Billy Kimber. So we go to the garrison. There's men singing that horrible tune.
Could you give us a little example of that too, maybe?
That's a line from the song.
It's seriously a line from the song?
It's "Come Josephine in my flying machine."
Oh, God.
And
that's minus 20 points, bro.
yeah, and when you know like what happens after this, it's just kind of like that was the song that was playing in the pub. We got all these.
He deserved to die, man.
We had Blue Veins playing during a fight at the beginning of the episode,
Right,
and I just not a fan. So the boys sit in the snug. It's the side room, the private room off the bar.
So it's actually called, or are you just making up a word for it?
That's what they call it at McNally's.
Oh.
They call it the snug.
Cool.
Um,
Didn't know they actually had one too.
yeah. So they wonder why Tommy isn't drinking whiskey. Arthur asks him if he's expecting trouble. So they get off kind of on the topic of Arthur says that it's time that Tommy got married. I think it was after his small little interaction with Grace there, bringing them in the whiskey.
Right.
And Arthur says, remember what Dad used to say, fast women and slow horses will ruin your life.
As they share a laugh.
Yeah, and it basically just means that, like, an expensive woman or a losing horse, those are things that will bankrupt you.
Right, exactly, yeah.
So while they're talking, we see that 2 cars pull up to the garrison, and men get out with automatic weapons and enter the pub, followed by Billy Kimber, and the guy we find out is kind of his accountant. He manages Billy Kimber's finances and his interests, and
He looks like an accountant.
yeah.
Not a gangster, but an accountant.
Everybody goes quiet when Billy Kimber comes in, and he says, "Is there any man called Shelby here?" Nobody answers, and so he pulls out his pistol, shoots a shot in the ceiling, and asks again. After that, the boys come out.
Which is like right next to, the snug is right next to where Billy Kimber's standing, which is I think it's kind of funny because he just like opens the door and he's right there. He's like, "What's up?"
Hello.
Hey, me.
Yeah. I did think, though, it would have been more a power move to come out before he fired the shot. I did think that, like, after he fired the shot, like, I don't know, it just didn't look as, like, after the shot, it's like, oh, okay, we're here. And I know that wasn't, like,
Right,
I wouldn't know that wasn't what they were doing. I know they're not worried about it, but...
Right, but don't you think at the same time, though, it's, he asked the first time, and they're not going to come charging out of another room, to possibly come into an ambush
Yeah.
and get shot. I mean, they probably heard that. They're probably sitting there listening and see what's somebody about to rat us out to, who's going to, they're going to say, well, they're in there, or just kind of see what their intentions are. And then when they shoot the gun, it's like, okay, well, now I know he's got a gun at least.
Yeah.
And I'm coming out slowly or whatever. I think they're just kind of playing it safe.
Yeah.
More than anything.
No, you're probably right. So they come out and they tell everybody to go home. Both groups sit down to talk. And Billy Kimber says, "I've never heard of you until I did." And just like that kind of phrase, it's like, I never heard of you until you did something to pop up on my radar.
Right, exactly.
But he says that even then, like, kind of, what do I care about you guys? Like, they're just some razor gang. But he says, but you fixed one of my races, so now you have my full attention. So he's obviously pissed about them fixing the race for Monahan Boy. Yeah, and basically just kind of that. He didn't care about them until they started affecting his business. And so he asks, "Who's the boss?" And Arthur says, I'm the oldest." And so Billy Kimber kind of smarts off to him about that, and we get another "Are you laughing at my brother?" line.
This time from John.
This time it's from John, and kind of trying to imitate Tommy there, I feel like.
Of course, I think Tommy was kind of like, nope, don't do that.
Yeah.
It's not the time for it. Because, of course, Tommy's got his own plans that he didn't tell anybody else.
Yeah.
So he's kind of like, don't screw this up for me,
Yeah. But I love that line from Billy Kimber in response to that, right, you're the oldest,
right,
you're the thickest, and you've got to be the boss because you're looking me up and down like I'm a tart.
Right, yes.
So he's kind of able to pick out that Tommy's the boss there. He wants to kill Tommy, but Tommy managed to kind of convince him that they'd be better off partners against the Lee family, who Kimber is also already at war with and has a lot of problems at the racetrack. Again, all kind of a part of Tommy's cosmic plan. So they decide that that's going to be in both their best interests, and so they're going to join up against the Lee family. Tommy says that he admires Billy Kimber because he started with nothing and built it into a legitimate business. To show that they're not equals, Kimber gives Tommy a coin, but makes him pick it up off the ground, and says that they'll meet next at the races.
Well, and going back right before that, he made the point of nobody works with me; they work for me.
Yeah.
So hence the coin, showing him, your places, you're below me.
Yeah.
You're picking it up and giving it to me. I'm putting you in your place now.
Yeah. So the other boys are kind of able to figure out that Tommy started the fight with the Lees on purpose to set up the meeting between him and Billy Kimber. I wonder a lot too if, I guess I don't really question it, but I don't think that they set all that up with Monahan Boy for the winnings. That was just kind of a plus. I feel like it was to
Probably
get on
so,
Billy
yeah.
Kimber's radar,
Yeah.
to piss him off a little bit, to get that meeting.
It's all according to plan.
Yeah. So.
Which just kind of shows, the little details in Tommy's plan. I mean, he's got so many small details, it's it gives you a headache.
Yeah.
Just thinking about it. I mean, he's almost thought of, everything. Every scenario that could go wrong. Of course, I guess when you got so much time in your hands, you're sitting there smoking opium every night. You got plenty of time to think about it,
You can hash out all kinds of crazy plans.
Right, exactly. I guess at the same time, you'll do anything rather than think about the war and everything else that went on, trying to keep all that stuff out of your head. But, yeah.
So it ends with Tommy kind of lightly explaining that part of the plan to Arthur and John. And he tells Arthur to get a decent haircut because they're going to the racetrack. So that's what we're going to see next time on Season 1, Episode 3. Thanks you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.